Hey, what's up you guys? I'm Caitlin from Leave Me Alone Plants, and today we are here, as you can see, with another one of my plant friends. Today, of course, we have none other than the Sansevieria Cylindrica, and this guy I have had for quite a while now, and I have to say, despite being like a basic plant, he is one of my absolute favorite plants in my collection. As you can see, he's quite large and in charge, and overall is just an absolute joy to take care of. Now, if you're watching this video right when it comes out, I'm actually in a bit of a predicament, which is that I have too many of these plants. They multiply rapidly, and currently I'm at a place where I'm just trying to pare down my collection. So if you're interested in obtaining one, I'll actually be giving away both these plants. All you have to do to get entered to win is just drop a comment down below and be subscribed, and at the end of the week I'll be replying to 2 lucky winners that you have won them, and of course we'll get them out to you for free. So if you're interested in getting one, again, just leave a comment and be subscribed and you'll be entered. But with no further ado, if you want to learn how to keep these guys happy and healthy, then keep on watching and we're going to get into it right now. So, as you can see, these plants come in quite a few shapes and sizes. Of course, we have my gigantic one, which has been growing for quite a while now. These guys come in the straight variety, they come in the starfish variety. Sometimes people even braid them, which I know some people hate, but I think can kind of be pretty cool, especially if you're new to the plant community. So really a lot of options with these plants. Now, thinking about where they're going to be native to, they're actually going to be native to Angola. Now, when I think of Angola, I think of a little place back in New York called Eden, Angola. Not that Angola, it's Angola in Africa. So just keep that in mind for what the care is going to look like on these guys. Starting out with lighting conditions, I think one of the things that makes these plants so great is that you can really get away with a large variety of lighting conditions. So when I had originally bought this mother plant right here, which I'll probably keep picking up, but I'm not going to hold because it's in like this giant, thing. It's this whole situation. But when I had originally bought this one, it was actually growing outside of the local nursery here and getting beat with full sun. These guys definitely can handle an intense light, so don't be afraid to put them in a sunny area, especially if you have other plants that haven't worked there. However, conversely, this guy in my own home, I actually have in a pretty dark area. It really only gets a moderate light, and it gets some intense light during the nighttime when I turn on my grow lights, but for the most part, it's pretty shaded. So while they are, like most plants, going to enjoy something like a bright and direct light, you can certainly get away with almost anything on the spectrum. That brings us into watering. It turns out that these guys are actually drought tolerant, and it's not that surprising. If you can feel them, they kind of feel almost like plastic or leather. They're very thick and they have a very, very waxy, almost sandpapery cuticle on the outside of them. So they really do a great job at retaining the water on the leaf level, as well as having a rhizome for retaining water down by the root area. For me, when I water these plants, like so many of my cacti or my succulents, I really like to go in super heavy, completely saturate the soil, and then wait for it to dry out completely. Now, what that drying out period may look like will be different depending on what type of environment, how warm it is, how sunny it is, all those factors combined in your house. For me, that typically looks like about every 2.5 weeks that I go in and water this guy. But again, just note that it will be different depending on your environment. Of course, another great thing about these plants is that they do not require humidity, which for me here in Arizona is absolutely essential. Now, one thing that you may notice about a lot of these plants that may lead you to think that maybe it needs to be in humidity is it gets these little brown tips at the top. Now, I've found that this has been standard for almost every one of these that I've ever seen. So if your plant looks like this, it appears to be pretty normal. And furthermore, on this plant that I bought from the nursery, at the time when I had bought it, a lot of the older leaves, you probably won't be able to see them, but they have these little kind of rake marks or scrape marks, or they just look like little cuts. Now, this could have just been because the plant was handled roughly. I had actually asked when I purchased the plant at the nursery, and they had said that it could have been from overwatering and the plant swelling up too wide and then kind of just splitting from there. Not really sure. I tried to look this up on the internet and was never able to confirm this, so if you know for sure, please let us know in the comments down below. But overall, if you're just seeing these minor cuts or scrapes on your plant, Nothing to be concerned about, pretty normal. And in my opinion, it really doesn't take that much away from the plants themselves. As for temperature, again, these are going to come from an area that is pretty warm, so they're gonna like to stay in a warmer climate. Now, if you are leaving these outside, do just know that they don't really like to drop below 50 degrees, so if you're having a late frost, you might want to bring them inside because they can go south from there. In terms of growth rate, I know some people say that these are slow growers for them. However, in my experience, I find that these plants multiply at an alarming rate. Now, that may have something to do with the fact that there are just so many stems coming out of here, so it doesn't take that long for at least one of them to be putting out a new shoot. However, even on these smaller pots, they're already putting out new growth, and it just seems to me like they're pretty fast growing plants. This brings us into propagation, which I've done many times on these plants. It's super easy. Really, the best way that I have found to do this is simply by division. You're just going to want to depot them and start to peel away some of that soil. As you do, you'll start to notice you have these big kind of bulbs that will sit at the bottom of the plant. That's the rhizome. If your plant's smaller like this one, it may only have a few of these rhizomes, and you can actually cut them in half if need be. However, on my bigger plant, I have pulled propagations off of it multiple times, just dividing off individual rhizomes, and gifted them to friends and family and so many people throughout the years. So, super easy to divide this plant, and I almost find that the more that I go in and divide it, the faster that it ends up growing for me. As for feeding, I really do not go in and feed that guy this often. They're pretty late feeders. Even if you just go in with something organic, like a worm casting every so often, that should be more than enough for this guy. Overall, in terms of care, I would say that this is an amazing plant for a beginner. I hope that we have 2 beginners who end up winning these plants, because that would be perfect. But one caveat that you do have to note is that they are toxic to pets and to humans. So if you have little critters running around your house, just be sure to put this plant somewhere that they will not be able to get access to them. With that said, that's everything that I have to talk about for this plant today. If you enjoyed this video and stuck around until the end, first of all, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that like button, and leave me a comment down below, because all of the above help me a ton. Thank you guys so much, and I hope to see you in the next video.